All right, we're on. Welcome to July Biz Happy Hour.
Hey.
Yay.
Michelle, you're going to start us off today?
Sure. Yeah. So, welcome everybody. I am psyched about this topic. I know I've been talking about it a lot, and I think a lot of people, it's been up for a lot of people in the topic of support. And before we kind of jump into that, just want to say, this is definitely how this group started, because I know there's some new people here. How this group started is Chris, myself, and Angela are in a mastermind together. And we do the Zoom, we see each other, and we just have this opportunity to be real with our business, with our lives, with whatever is up. And what was so cool about, and has been so cool about our relationship, is that we share our brilliance and we share our shit shows. And what we realized is that that's not being really demonstrated or out there as far as entrepreneurship and things like that. And we just thought, what an opportunity for us to just continue to do what we are doing. It wasn't anything new. And then just bring it into community, right? And to allow you guys to kind of have the opportunity as well. We're all very successful business owners, and we also know that it's not always easy. And so we wanted to start talking about things that a lot of people aren't talking about. And so that's how this thing was created. And so we are having fun. And our biggest commitment is keeping it real. So with that said, like I say, just welcome. Thank you for taking the time to join us and to, just to see what it's all about. Or I know a lot of you are also returning as well. So thank you. So I'm Michelle Voss, and I'm the visibility and embodiment expert. And I help women really step into their visibility in their business and also in their brand and really in their personal life, and really help them discover where they're hiding and how they can actually step into a more authentic and visible space by being fully themselves 365 days a year. So that's a little bit about me. And Chris and Angela?
Yeah, so I'm Chris Prochaska, and I work with women, especially women who work and have kids, and helping them to discover their purpose as well as communicate more effectively. And I'm starting a movement of Scared to Sacred, really moving from that little voice place in our mind into our hearts, into that sacred, soul-driven part of us, and discovering what that is and speaking from that place, parenting, nurturing ourselves and relationships from that place. Welcome, everybody. I'm excited you're here.
Yeah. So hi, everybody. I'm Angela Johnson, and I am, for lack of a better word, a business coach and mentor, but I specialize in helping people really align their business with their essence and what they're wanting to express in the world. Specialize in marketing, messaging, and live events. And I really encourage and empower people to have the courage to say yes of what that big vision is and really go for it in their own way. So I am going to handle just a couple quick logistics so you guys can get familiar with Zoom. So if you want a different view of the speakers, you actually mouse over the upper right-hand corner. You'll see speaker view or you'll see gallery view. So if you see speaker view, it just shows the speaker that's talking. If you see gallery view, then you actually see what I call the Brady Bunch lineup. So you see videos or a bunch of boxes, and so you can see either of those two things. And then also, if you have background noise, please mute yourself so we can keep a clear recording. We'd love to open up the lines at the very end. And then we also have an opportunity for what I call a hottie seat. But if you wanted some live interaction and some support from the three of us, we'll guide you through the steps to do that a little bit later. So just wanted to give you those a couple of options so that you can interact with this Zoom format effectively. So back to you, Michelle.
So we're going to just open it up to the concept and topic of support. And like Angela said, we definitely want to hear from you guys. This is not just us, talking at you, but you can definitely be chatting. And if there's anything that pops up, please do share it. And then we're going to have opportunity to unmute you and have some hottie seats. So support. How do we receive it? And I think one of the biggest things that I kind of want to start this conversation with is how do we, what are the ways that we receive it? What are the ways that we hide from it? Because I think that is a lot of the doorway to then how we can actually shift into actually receiving it. So I'm going to just open that question up to Chris or to Angela and see what pops up.
Angela?
I've been like knowing that we were talking about this topic. So of course, all my support shit came up in the last couple of weeks. And acknowledging the fact that the biggest growing pain in my business and in my life is receiving support. And receiving it, asking for it, knowing when I need it. It feels like I need support after I know I need it. And then it feels really hard to get it because I'm in this mode of desperation of like, I just need someone to help me. And then, just hiring team, for example, that saying of hire slowly, fire fast. I kept reversing that. I would hire really quick and I would hire people because I like them. And I really like them. And yeah, this could totally work. And so my potentialitis would kick me in the butt every time because I would see someone's potential instead of seeing what they're actually delivering. Now, I will say that I've got some great team members now. I feel really happy about it. And this last week, knowing that I was out of alignment with some of my own support targets or support that I knew that I wanted to have it. And I knew it was required for me to grow my business. And it's not just about business, it's about personal too. And so I just started, making those decisions. And some of them were kind of painful decisions, letting someone go. Because I really like her. It just wasn't actually working. And then hiring my housekeeper. This was a really big deal for me, actually hiring my housekeeper to come once a week instead of twice a month. And I now have someone else putting my underwear in my drawer. And I was like, oh, okay, one, throw out all the bad underwear. Number two, am I really okay with this? And one time when they came over, because they do straightening, putting things away, I was sitting on my couch, working on my laptop, and they're working around me and feeling, honestly, like the biggest asshole. Like, yeah, I could totally be doing that. And I didn't. And so I just sat in the discomfort of, I'm willing to be uncomfortable right now, knowing the freedom that this is creating. So those are just a couple of my thoughts, because I'm in this process. I'm in it. It's like, even just saying that, I can feel my whole body just go, oh, just keep breathing. Like the shadow side that I keep looking at is if I'm a high maintenance princess, like, am I willing to be that? Am I willing to be judged as that? Am I willing to receive judgment for having support? Because yes, I'm a very capable woman and I could do this on my own. And where is that kicking myself in my own butt? Right.
Oh, yeah. That, all of that. And then all of what everybody's writing in the chat box. I am a card carrying control freak. And trust. I was thinking about it recently, a couple episodes ago. I don't remember which month it was. We were talking about body and health and physical things and receiving, being able to receive physically and being healthy and how that shows up in our business. And I realized that I've been going to the doctor about a couple things that have been going on for a while, thyroid, adrenal issues. And I am the type of person who goes to the doctor and the doctor says, oh, you got this. And then I go home and I research all of it because I'm like, I'm like 100% sure that they don't know what the fuck they're doing, even though they're the expert. And I'm like, and part of it is because I have been burned before, right? By health practitioners or something like that. And I think when I personally think about this issue of support, I see it in a lot of different places in my life. Will I let my husband support me in helping with the kids? Or will I let, my parents support in a way, taking care of the kids? Or will I let my doctor be the one to tell me what to do? Or am I going to constantly be vigilant. And there's a difference between receiving it and being vigilant and controlling. And so that's just what I'm aware of, and noticing that I'm kind of breaking out a little sweat as I talk about that. Okay, good thing I'm not drinking hard stuff tonight, or really ugly here. But so I'm just curious what other folks are having. I mean, asking for help, admitting a weakness. So yes. Yeah, helping others so we don't have to receive help ourselves. I mean, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like there's so many ways, again, that I think that we really, really hide. And I love, Angela, when you pointed out that you were sitting there feeling like an asshole, right? Because it's like, really, like, am I at that place where I don't have time to even do my laundry, or, like, get that kind of help? And this topic has been, I'm going to change my speaker view. This topic has been such a huge one for me for months and months now. Like, and you guys know, you guys been on this show before, you know that it has been. I told the story, I won't tell it again, about the boat and being sick and all that. I'll listen to past episodes. But it never occurred to me that I could get support. Like, that's how much I don't receive it. Like, it literally didn't cross my mind. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, oh no. I was like, I just thought of my own strategy, because just completely being at the mercy of other people was not something that occurred to me, was not an option in my energetic field. And so that was a huge shift. And I've been processing this concept now for months, and it keeps coming up. It's not done by any way, shape, or form. And I'll tell you what just came up again. And that is the connection between recognizing, so short story is, my body, the internal organs, the system that's running is, let's just say, clogged. It's not working as well as it should. I'm not saying I'm constipated. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying things aren't working as well as it's supposed to, right? It's not operating functionally. And what I realized, and I'm getting ready to travel this week for work, and I'm overwhelmed instantaneously because I can't even sort through my jewelry because it's a mess. And I don't know what I even have anymore because it's a mess. I go to open my cupboard to pull out, like, the travel bag. You think I would just have, like, a travel bag that I just picked up and put in my, like, suitcase. No, I have to go through it every single time because it's a mess. And I all of a sudden recognized how you do anything is how you do everything. And my operating system is playing out not only in my body, but in my physical then space. It's playing out in the closet. It's playing out in underneath the sink. It's playing out in my jewelry. And the thought of, and it's playing out in my computer, and this is a whole conversation as well. And I am going to mention, I did ask for support. Well, actually, that's not even true. I totally just lied. I didn't ask for it. It came up in conversation, and I agreed to getting support from my husband, which has been amazing. That's huge when it comes to the computer. So here I am sitting there just like Angela, and I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? Like, I don't have a week, like just a straight week, to just do all the stuff that I need to do. So what else is possible? Where can I get support? And I was like, I need a personal assistant who can come in and organize all that stuff and do all that stuff. So I thought of a friend of mine who does that kind of work, and I called her yesterday, and the second I got on the phone, I started bawling. I just started crying. And I could cry right now because I'm like, because it's not just about having somebody come and straighten my jewelry. It's like, it's asking for the help that I can do. Like, I can technically do it. So I do have this, like, a lot of emotion around receiving at that level. It's a whole different ball game. and I think we're all in this place, right? It's like every time we up level to whatever that means for us, it's like, how does that show up and manifest for us to look at? And then are we looking at it? Because I'll tell you, I did not make this connection until 3 days ago, that my body and my space were operating as one, even though I know that that's a concept and I know that concept. I didn't know that I was doing it, right? It's just a huge thing, and our ability to actually receive it. And the fact that this dear woman was like, of course I will help you. Like, I am honored to help you. And thank you for asking. Like, that's a concept. What if we actually got thanked every time we asked for support?
Yeah, that would be an interesting. Well, because it does feel good to help. It does. And I mean, I'm reading the chat room over here, which is amazing. I mean, thank you everybody for what you're sharing, because it's so powerful. I think in some of the work that I do with people, I look at their design, I look at their human design, and there are some people that are really designed to help. I mean, they're designed to nurture and help. And so much of what I'm talking to them about is, because I'm kind of speaking to what I'm seeing over in the chat box, is that it's about, picking and choosing whom to help. Emily said, it's harder to help people when they resist. Yeah, so true. So, but we kind of do this blanket, well, I'll just help everyone because I can. And we get our self-esteem from that, and we get our sense of purpose from that. And it's about teasing that apart and, discerning where to give that support, and then where can we receive it. Not because we can't do it, because we're all incredibly capable, just as Michelle was talking about, and Angela. We can do this shit. We got it. We know how. We know how we like our underwear. We know how we want everything. But, but to have that, like, what does that mean? Who do I think I am to have somebody put my shit away? Like, what are you, a princess? Right? I'm sure you had to think about that, right, Angela? And I'm thinking right now, it would be awesome to have somebody come in and just clean my house, make all my meals, take my kids. I spend 2 hours a day now driving my kids to all their camps, to and from their camps. I'm getting nothing done this summer. Like, okay, not true, not nothing, but almost nothing done. I feel I'm struggling with that. And it's really fascinating. And I'm thinking, how can I receive more help around that? Just something as simple as that, schlepping kids somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that I can free myself up to finish projects and have a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day when I go lay my head on the pillow, like, okay, I feel good about what I did today because I had the space to do what I'm here to do. And I feel good about that. So I'm curious if other people feel that way. And Angela, what do you
Yeah.
think there?
Well, this is such an awesome topic. I'm just so grateful. So a couple of questions I was playing around with this last week is, what do I suck at? And I started making a list. Here are all the things I suck at. And coincidentally, they're the things that drain me and that I get really angry at when I have to do them. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I started delegating first. And I suck at delegating. And so then to really see, okay, what would make this easier? I started getting really clear on the energy because I could feel there was a pattern here. So I asked myself, what do I love about the chaos? What do I love about that 11th hour adrenaline rush that, holy shit, I did it again. I pulled it off.
Yeah.
There's this like adrenaline, and it was like, wow. And you think that adrenal fatigue, I wonder why, not so much anymore, but years ago, yes. And then the other question I asked, I just wrote it down, is what do I love about being so important that I'm irreplaceable? And so I kept making myself so important to prove my value and to prove that I could do it, and to prove that I was self-sufficient, to prove all the judgments I was making about myself wrong. And I thought, what if I just let all of that go? And it's not that I'm so busy I can't fold my laundry and put it away. It's that I'm choosing not to. And that's the difference, is that I'm choosing to have a housekeeper come in once a week. And I'm choosing to receive the judgment from family who that concept is the most insane thing they've ever heard. Like, I should be cleaning my own house as the woman too, like as the wife. We won't get into that. But asking those questions, especially what do I love about the chaos? And I hate that, like, you know, like what Michelle said, like when you go in to get something and you're like, holy shit, this should just be easy. Like, I should find the form, I should find the piece of paper, I should find the thing or whatever. And it takes me hours to, like, my filing system in my office is the next thing. And I hired someone to basically, I said, I want you to go through all of this and redo it. And I want you to teach me how you file things. So then when I can't find something, I'm going to call you and you can tell me where it is if I can't find it. But if I'm responsible for this system, it's not getting done. The pile of papers, I could actually show you if my camera was movable, like the pile of stuff in the corner of my office that I'm like, I don't even know what to do with this. And so that's her job next week while I'm out of town. She's going to handle it. And it's so funny. I feel this anxiousness. I feel this anxiety. I feel just this tenseness, official term, tenseness, tension, there we go, around, like, am I will, and then, here was the other thought that I had. It's kind of like the first time I hired a bookkeeper, that I actually had to take accountability for my numbers. I actually had to take accountability for the state of my home if I hire a housekeeper. And am I willing to have people see me? When I hire a virtual assistant who sees all the things we judge as coaches, like the list size and the this and how often I don't email my list and whatever, like, am I willing to have someone see my mess?
Isn't that really what it's about, I guess?
Yeah.
We have to be willing to look at the mess and call it a mess before we can ever change it. You know,
yeah,
and part of it.
And it absolutely, I think it's a huge part of it. And I think for me personally, it's the next layer of it. Cause I don't have a problem with my mess. Like, I'm the first to show you. I'm not attached to that anymore. But my biggest resistance has been, it's just like almost a relationship to delegation or whatever. Is like, then you're going to ask me what to do about it. And I actually don't know what to do about it. Otherwise it wouldn't be in that state, right? Like, it wouldn't be. Like, my poor husband is going through my computers, and it's like my computer and a filing system. And it's like, he's literally, all he's doing is unwinding all the stuff, right? Because I never was trained on how to do that. So I just save it to my desktop, and then I'll move it somewhere. And then I'm like, I don't know. And I said to him, I was like, I don't, like, it's crazy to see how successful in business I am with the back end, the way it looks, right? But there's nothing worse than when he's like, or not him specifically, but it's like when they're like, well, what about this? And I'm like, I don't know. Well, what conversation happened when it went that way? I'm like, I don't know. And it's like all of my anxiety is like pouring out. Like, I don't know. And then I feel stupid because I'm like, I don't know. So it's like, mess is fine. But then if they look to me for the answers of that is when I kind of come unglued. So then I resist getting the help because I don't want to deal with that part of it. Does that make sense? Like, it's kind of a different version of it. And I told this gal yesterday, I said, don't even ask me. Like, I just want you to do it. Like, just take control. And I think that's part of the tears. I was like, I want someone, like, this is talk about support. Like, I want someone to hold me. Like, I hold people all day long. Like, hold me and guide me through this. care for me and teach me. Don't ask me questions.
So
Obviously.
I think that's so fascinating because I think when we, okay, so then this brings up something about when we hire a coach. Because if it depends on what we're paying for, right? So do we want our coach to kick our butt, or are we paying for a service, right? Like there's a part of me that wants to outsource all my Facebook ad stuff because the learning curve is so huge and I don't fucking want to do it. I can't, I'm like, I want to pull my hair out. And yet I keep going, well, I'll try to do it. I want to be able to like hire someone and say, I want you to just do it. And then I'll pay you for the results that you give me too. Like this is my dream wish list right here. So like, and not the other way around. There's certain things now, but with coaching, it's a little bit different. I mean, I think that we probably don't need to get into the nitty gritty of it, but like when I think about being held and having someone just take over something, I want to know, are you going to get the results for me? Are you going to do this? If you are, I will gladly turn it over and I will gladly pay you. Right? And
so that's trust. And this is interesting in the context of the topic of support, because what comes first?
I know. Exactly.
Like, that's the control. Like I have to know the outcome if I'm going to receive support.
Right. Yeah. So great. I mean, it is. It's such a great question. And I mean, we probably won't figure this one out right away, but it's definitely something that because I think that there's certain times when then we'll hire a coach or we'll hire someone to support us. And then what if that support isn't what we expected? And then where's the responsibility? I mean, I always think it lies with us. Here, let me just put that out there. I always think that it lies with us, ultimately. However, it does beg the question, like if we are out there and we're offering services, I don't know, just giving support, receiving support, I could go, I'm going to shut up.
So I think this is something Angela pointed out in the beginning, and that was hire slowly, fire fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Because if we're not, it's like, so what's the connection between receiving support and then somehow feeling obligated to that person who supported you?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, here's one thing that I have learned in the last just couple of months. So when I teach the marketing archetypes, there's an archetype called the supporter. And so for those of you who know this and we're at Ignite, I can, don't worry about all the details, right? But the supporter, their whole foundation is they have a joy of service. And the shadow side of that is they build everyone else's dream except their own. But here's what I learned is that I kept hiring people who were actually not supporters, but they had a support role in my business, that they wanted to do their own thing eventually. And this was kind of like a temporary thing. So I would burn through people quickly because that's kind of what happens in my space. They get transformed and then go start their business. And I'm like, oh, well, shit, I'm without support again. And so for those of you who are hiring, it's like they've got to really have that supporter energy and that they have a joy of service. They don't mind being behind the scenes. They actually prefer that space because that's where they're a big contribution. They're not resenting the fact that they're a supporter. And that's what it was. I was hiring people who were resenting the fact that they were a supporter and not actually creating what I was creating. And that kind of energy doesn't work well when you are paying someone that they resent everything about it. And so I'm so glad that has changed. But I kept wondering, like, why does this keep happening? And then, studying the archetypes even more, that supporter archetype is a really, really important piece to that. So I want to bring up a question because I know that this comes up a lot with clients, and I'm sure it has come up for all of us on this group of, you need support, but you don't know that you can afford it. You need a coach, or you need a virtual assistant or something, and you're just like, where's that money going to come from? And so what do you do? How do you navigate that process? How do you navigate, like, you can see your future going, if I continue this, one of two things are going to happen. I'm going to either blow everything up, or I'm going to burn out.
Mm.
And if I'm really creating my dream life here, either of those are acceptable options. So how do you navigate that? It's like, I call it the transition phase of, it's challenging. It can be a leap of faith. So I'd love, for you guys, like, what do you guys think of, like, how have you handled that? For those of you in the chat box, what tips do you have around that?
Can you ask the question again?
What do you do when you know you need support, but you don't know if you can afford it?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the, when I first hired a cleaning person, same thing, like I couldn't really believe that that's what I was doing. And I'll tell you what was really interesting is that, and this is part of that, like feeling guilty or whatever, like it was awesome because I realized immediately that when I hired them and when they were there, I was in my office working my butt off the whole time. And that, for me, just having that experience is what I use now when I think about the investment. It's like, is that investment going to, in a sense, the ROI, right? Like, how is it actually going to pay off?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, now I can see those connections, and so I can make that decision. And even if that decision is, I'm actually going to go away maybe for a couple of hours and enjoy myself or whatever it is. If the ROI is de-stressing and relaxing and whatever, then I'm going to be more focused. So I do look at how does that actually affect then my business dollar, right? If I'm spending that money.
Mm-hmm.
And I just happened to have that experience earlier on. And so then it kind of clicked for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that it does matter when we do need to look at ROI outside of just the money.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really believe that, because hands down, how many times do we have conversations, Angela, Michelle, and I, and I bet you, everybody who's here too and who's listening through, how many times do you have a conversation with your friends or a colleague or someone else where you're like, I just wish I felt better. I just wish I had more time. I just wish I wasn't stressed. I just wish I could sleep. I mean, all of those things are part of what allows you to do what you do. And I think that when I look at it that way, and not just strictly like, if I pay this amount, I'm going to make this amount. That's when it seems to work the best for me. And I'm much clearer about what I'm expecting from that person and what I'm expecting from the situation. Mm-hmm. That when I first started out and was just making investments and hiring coaches, I didn't think about all of those things. And I didn't value when I did have those results. And I only focused on the money, and then you got down about it and stuff like that. And then I also, because I wasn't focusing on the results there, when it wasn't working for me, like I was not, maybe I was making a little more money, but my stress level was like way through the roof because I was doing something that was not in alignment for me at all, because I was listening to someone who just was telling me to do what worked for them and not necessarily for me because they didn't really know me. Then it wasn't worth it. So that, I think it's about, for me, having a little more wisdom around that and knowing where to invest that money. And I'm going to go get my plug. I'll be right back. I'm listening though.
Well, I think from the practical standpoint, because I run into this probably weekly with clients, knowing that they need support. They suck at the techie stuff, and they spend weeks and months or even years trying to figure out that stuff. And they shouldn't be. Like, they shouldn't be designing their own website or figuring it out. And so it's like, okay, money isn't coming into the business yet. So how do I justify spending, $1,000 for a website, $500 a month for a virtual assistant, or like whatever it is. And so I tell people, I'm like, we'll set people up on this system. So this is a practical tip that I've done that's really worked, is to pay all my contractors once a month. They send me their time card at the end of the month. I have until the 5th of the following month to pay them. So if they start, let's just use this month. I know I have 30 days to figure out that cash flow because I work on a cash basis in my business. I don't use credit. I don't use my savings. I work on a cash basis in my business for, my contractors. Then that gives me 30 days. And if I'm not confident in my ability to make an additional, it's usually, a couple hundred or maybe 1,000 or whatever it is, then I know that I have a marketing problem. I don't have a money problem. So that's just one thing that I tell people. I'm like, give yourself 30 days, hire them. If it's a virtual assistant who's $25 an hour for 4 hours, can you figure out how to make an extra $100? You could bake cookies and sell them to your neighbors if you were that committed to get support. Are you that committed to receive that kind of support so you can free up 4 hours of your time that can actually make you money instead of figuring out, well, gosh, which WordPress theme should I use? If you're not a genius at that, stop. Just stop the madness and find a person who they're really great at that stuff. So that's just a technical tip that I've used that has worked because it's true that when you're committed to it, when you choose it, the resources show up, but you've got to choose it instead of that if I make more money, then I'll hire the person. Choose the support and you're always supported in that. You've got to choose it first. So that's just, off the cuff.
Definitely. I'd love to get our hottie seat going. And so what I think, with Chris and Angela, you let me know if this is how you want to do it, but I'm thinking we just kind of have you guys, for those of you who want to contribute to this conversation, who want to maybe get some support on this, we're 3 really great coaches. Whatever it might be, go ahead and type your topic in the sense, well, obviously it's kind of support, but so we can kind of pick who would like to play. Go ahead and do that now. Unless there's a different way, Chris or Angela, you want to?
Yeah, so just to be clear on the instructions for those of you guys who would like to be in the hottie seat, just post like your topic or your question or the thing that you'd like support with in the chat group and we'll choose from there. And this is where sometimes their visibility stuff comes up. Are you willing to take up space? Are you okay being the center of attention? Just breathe through any of that if it does come up for you. But if you'd like to have some support and have a live conversation with us, we'd love to have a conversation with you. Our last hottie seats have been amazing.
Yeah, and I'm just going to throw out that Cindy did throw out a topic way early. So Cindy, if you still are up for that conversation, put your name in the hat again there. But everybody's like, I don't know if I want to talk about it.
I'm going back to Cindy's comment.
Cindy, okay, Cindy, you are up. Yes. Just unmute yourself. Where are you? There you are.
Hi.
Bad hair day. Been doing great.
It's beautiful.
It's summer.
So no apologies for how any of us look, and no sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry. Exactly.
Okay, I'm trying to find your original post, Cindy, because I saw it. Can you just remind us of the topic again?
It's about my level of awareness is exceeding my level of allowance.
And so for people who are not in Access, explain that so everyone gets it.
Okay, so it's happened a lot since Ignite. So I was at Ignite and have been doing things since Ignite, and I just know that I am around people, so I'm picking up more, like I know where they're coming from, or I can feel their judgments, or I can like almost instantly know, how do I say this? Just like what they're choosing, like I just know. And so it's like just super irritating because it's like I'm kind of judging them back because I'm aware of it now more than I was before. And I can, like, I'm seeing through the bullshit a lot. And so that's making me, and I didn't really realize what was going on. And then Dane's tour of consciousness thing came through and he was talking about that. And I'm like, because I was so irritated all the time at everything for like what I thought was no reason. And then that came across and I'm like, that's exactly what's happening to me.
So I'm going to explain it this way and see if this, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I want to make sure everyone's on the same page. So when your awareness exceeds your allowance, it's this moment when you realize that you've been tolerating bullshit.
Yes.
Like you are now aware of what's possible, and you look around at the people around you like, oh, they're choosing that. And it's really easy to judge that as less than, or like, why wouldn't you live up to your potential? Like we get into I get into misjudge Judy sometimes. But it's that realization of I've been tolerating something that's less than what I actually desire.
Yes.
Like my awareness of what's possible is bigger, but my reality right now is not a match for that, and I'm kind of pissed.
Exactly. And then I just like it's making it really hard for me to be around certain people. And then you kind of feel guilty for that, and like I'm just having a harder time like faking it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm just tired of the fakeness of some people.
I'm smiling because I just had this conversation with one of my best friends last night, that we were just talking about how beautiful it is to be in such an honest relationship that I can trust anything and everything that comes out of her mouth as real.
Mm-hmm.
There's no pretense, there's no bullshit.
See, and I think that's just what I want with every relationship that I have.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you one tool, and this is an access tool for those of you who know access stuff. Try this anyway. But the interesting point of view that I have this point of view. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Because everything is just a point of view. It's just perspective. None of it is solid. None of it is real. Perspective changes in a second. A perspective changes when we just shift 1 degree. And so when I find myself really irritated around, especially family has a way to do this to me, when I'm aware of like, wow, you're choosing shit and you're disguising it with this like a spiritual override, or like everything's fine, and then like actually nothing is fine. Nothing is fine for me here. And so it's interesting point of view. I have this point of view, and I just repeat that until I'm like, oh, it's just a point of view. And then the other thing that I do is, where am I not choosing me? Because that's what I'm really irritated about. And where am I not choosing me? And this is just my own process, but especially when I got irritated, because when you choose you, Cindy, then now the other people in your life have space to choose them, but you're not so intertwined with their universe. So my relationship with my parents have changed dramatically in the last year. And they were the biggest triggers of this concept of my awareness exceeds my allowance. So Michelle and Chris, what do you guys think? Well, let me check in. Cindy, does that help at all?
Yeah, it does help a lot. And I've been doing the interesting point of view, but I hadn't. Say the other one again, Angela. What did you say?
Where am I not choosing me?
Where am I not choosing me? I haven't heard that one before.
That if I were, like the access part is like, if I were to choose me, it would change everything. Or if I was aware of what I could choose in this moment, what is that? And then you could do the clearing statement.
Okay.
Because it's choosing you. It's those 10% increments of, I choose to wear this today, or I choose, like the other day, I chose to actually cancel some plans with some girlfriends, because it's like I tuned in and I'm like, I am too overwhelmed right now. I know if I choose this, I'm going to resent it later. And that was an example of choosing me and being willing to receive the judgment for being perceived as possibly a flake.
See, and I think that's part of what I need to do is be willing to receive the judgment from a lot of people in my life for the changes that I'm making.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I was gonna say, I just know for me, that what you just said, that is probably the place where I tend to default back, because in my family, I tend to be a person who says, you know what, there's an elephant in the room and I don't like it and I don't want to follow it, and you guys are nuts. Not really like that, but kind of.
Yes.
And I've been really punished for it. So, so I tend to be pretty reserved when it comes to saying this is what I want, because it really, people have a very difficult time with it that are in my close circle. And so just just watching that. And, you know, Carrie was talking about boundaries. It's kind of like those boundaries. And what Angela is pointing out is that those boundaries are a matter of perspective. They actually don't really exist. And yet they're honoring the limits of what we're willing to tolerate, and what we're willing to tolerate in others, and what we're willing to receive and let in. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna say, Michelle?
Yeah, I love what you guys are talking about. And one of the things that I just do that is just one of my things is I don't like spiritual bypassing. So I think we're human beings, and we have feelings and we have emotions, and they're real and they're human experiences. And so one of the things that I do is I feel like I want to always honor both. So I'll say, you know, my ego right now is pissed off or judgmental, or I'm so freaking annoyed at all these people who are being fake or whatever, right? Like I can just go off, but I completely recognize that that's just the ego. Like that is just what's running right now. And I don't have to completely own all the drama around it. I can experience it and also just go, you know what? And that's the ego. And I am so much more than my ego. And we are all one, and I am only a mirror, and this is happening. And it's like, and then we can get into this other sort of space that is the capital T truth, right, of who we are, because it's the essence of who we are. But I think just having sometimes that distinction between recognizing that anytime we're in judgment, even when it feels like a spiritual judgment, like you're not being real, or you're being, you know, whatever it might be, right?
Right.
It's still ego. Right? It's because it's judgment, period. So that's what I do. It's just sort of a simple little, I talk to myself a lot. So it's just a simple little conversation.
That helps a lot.
No, there's something about sometimes it's judgment and sometimes it's awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And we judge it as like, oh my God, I'm being a judgmental, when it's your awareness of like, I actually don't choose to be in this conversation anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not a judgment. It's an awareness of I'm not at the same level. We're not a vibrational match anymore. It's just different. And I'm choosing to honor what's true for me. And so there's I think, in, you know, my experience, sometimes there's a fine line between judgment and awareness, because so often it can feel like judgment, because we're taught, shouldn't judge other people, just be accepting. And so we accept so much that we tolerate bullshit.
Yeah.
That's what I have done for years. I've done that for years and years on that whole level of just be nice to everyone. So I've just eaten it all for all of these years, and I just can't handle it anymore. So I liked how she was saying being punished for that. Like, that's the perfect word. That's what I feel like. I feel like I'm being punished for like not wanting to eat their shit anymore.
There's a huge, and Angela, I like how you said that, and how I say that is the difference between judgment and discernment. Mm-hmm. We discern all the freaking time. Mm-hmm. Discernment is, that doesn't work for me. Yeah. But I don't have to judge you for it, right? Oh. Like, we don't have to judge each other. But discernment is, this is what I choose. This is the direction I go. This is how, this is who I want to hang with, or this is what I'm going to say. Totally do different things. So I love that you said that, Angela, because it's a really important distinction to make when we're talking about judgment, because they're very, very different.
I agree. And yet the slope is slippery between discernment and judgment, because I can find myself in a place where I go, oh, I'm just being discerning. And yet you just have a little too much discernment, and suddenly you're in, like, discernment is alive. Discernment is in the moment. Discernment is not hard and fast. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. And when we allow our discernment to be hard and fast rules, then it's judgment. Mm-hmm. Because in that moment, and so I do like to tease that even a little bit more and tickle that word and say, let's where is our conversation alive in the moment? And Cindy, I think that that's what you're really speaking to, is that in that moment, in the give and take with people, you're realizing that maybe they're taking more, or you're giving more, or that you don't want to take what they have, or that it's just energetically it's a mismatch. kind of what Angela was saying, and that it's like, you know what, this isn't working, not working for me. And people have a real problem with that because, you know, that old saying, like very trite, but it takes two to tango. And that when we disengage and unplug from people, whether that's through our verbal or body language or energetically, they're going to have something to say about it. They're going to have a reaction. A lot of them, especially if it's very emotional. So it's important to understand, you know, just understand that that's happening and that it's okay. It's all right. And be able to tolerate their discomfort and your own discomfort. So
that's an interesting, I love that. It's like tolerating or accepting your discomfort and other people's discomfort. And isn't that sort of the solution to support? Kind of like everything we've been thinking. It's like to actually get comfortable.
Yeah.
But to recognize that it's going to be uncomfortable. Like you're not all of a sudden be like, oh, I'm so comfortable with receiving all of it. Like it's actually getting comfortable with the discomfort.
Yeah.
In order to receive support.
Yes.
Because receiving support is receiving, and we've got to get good at receiving, and support is just one way, right?
Yep.
Just interesting when you said that.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. We are about 5 minutes out. How, Angela, where do you want to go?
I was just posting because I know we're running out of time. Cindy, I just put something in the group that might help as well.
Thank you.
So yeah, Cindy, I just want to check in. How are you feeling now? Do you feel like you have some next steps and some support with this thing that's showing up for you?
Yeah, I do. Like a few things that you've said, and I'm going to have to go back and listen to it again. Because right now, I'm sitting in my discomfort of talking to you all.
Well, kudos for you. That's awesome.
I'm doing it, so I'm proud of myself.
Yeah,
but a few things really hit home, and yeah, for sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. So welcome. Thanks for participating. And, you know, I think a perfect wrap up to that hottie seat is I remember Lisa Nichols saying this, and I was super triggered when she said this, and I heard it for the first time, is you train people how to treat you. And I was like, bullshit, lady. Like, what? And then I was like, oh my gosh. Yes. And it reminds me of that, you know, you attract what you are. And sometimes that doesn't resonate. But what resonates, like when it's like, no, I'm not that. But I keep experiencing that. What's going on? Sometimes I attract what I tolerate.
Yes.
And so that if there's a trigger that it's like, oh, no, I'm really not that person. But I'm allowing to be treated this way. So in a way, I am that. And so that's a really good sign of, oh, there's a boundary here that gets to happen because I'm not willing to be in this relationship in this way. And we've got all sorts of tools that we can use and coach ourselves through it. And we could go on, but we train people how to treat us. So with our support teams, with the support people in our life, with our children, with, you know, and that can be a hard truth pill to swallow. I may have created this, you know, dysfunction because I've allowed it. And when you start changing and other people are like, wait, I can't treat mom that way anymore. I can't treat my wife that way anymore. I can't treat my, you know, whatever that way anymore. It's okay for their buttons to be pushed. You don't have to solve that for them.
Yeah.
Not your job.
Exactly.
Your job is just to keep choosing you.
So true. I'm wondering, Angela, would you be willing, those questions that you asked earlier, I can't remember what they were, would you be willing to put those in the Facebook
I will.
Yep. Page? Because they were fantastic questions. And I know, Cindy, you're going to go back and listen to it. Maybe there are a couple other people I know. I want to hear those again because they're really powerful questions. So any last thoughts? Michelle, you got a last thought about?
Well, what I was just going to say is I would love to have everybody in the Facebook group post, you know, because I just think the concept of support, like, so how, you know, how have you received it in the sense of like, what can you share with each other? Like this, let's support each other. Like what resources have you discovered lately? Like what are you, like, just as an example, I just got off a training call and somebody had asked about that texting. And I know, Angela, you know about this, that the texting thing when you want somebody to opt in, like if you're speaking, it's like, and I was like, I don't know. I know of it. I just don't know how you set it up or how you use it or what system there is. Like, so what resources make our lives easier that you guys know about, right? That we could just throw things out there and share as a community. Or if you're feeling like, you know, this is something I'm looking for a bookkeeper. I know I can't remember her name just because I wasn't paying attention. Emily, right? But Emily's a bookkeeper or whatever, a virtual assistant. Right? Just like have an opportunity where this month we get to play with receiving and asking. Hello, ask.
Yeah.
What do you need?
Yeah, I'm going to ask
that.
it. Yeah, I love that idea. In fact, I think it would be great to do it in the Facebook group also.
Yeah.
And maybe what we could do is just do so we have the hashtag Biz Happy Hour, but we could do a hashtag Biz Happy Hour support. So that way we could find everything that is. So if you are asking for support or you have an idea like the texting thing, I want to know what that is. If you have, other ideas for people, I know Emily, you had something that people were asking for, your 50 ways. Maybe just put it in there, put the link and put hashtag Biz Happy Hour support. That way we can all find it. That'll be an easier way for us to track it and be able to continue this conversation after today's session is done. So.
I'll actually post a post so there's a format so all the hashtag and all that stuff is carried through.
Oh, great.
Great idea, because I think we've got some amazing resources in this group. My one request is to keep it promotion free. So if you've got a resource, this is not necessary. Support yourself and just keep it, use wisdom there. So
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, it's always about intention, right? And we feel it. We know intention. So I think the biggest thing is to ask, because I know that's, I don't know, maybe I'm all by myself, but it's hard to ask for support.
No, I think you're right on.
Yeah.
Right?
You are right on.
Yeah.
Yes, Carrie, it did fly by, didn't it? This was awesome. It's so fun to see you all here. We'll see you next month. It's the third Wednesday, right?
Second.
Yep. Second Wednesday. Second Wednesday. And keep posting your pictures of your favorite drinks. Send us your recipes and also your favorite cocktail napkins, because those are some really funny ones I was seeing there. So I love all of those. You guys are brilliant, amazing. Thank you all for being here and just showing up and listening in, commenting. It's just been amazing. Thank you. This has been support for us, I think, too. So hopefully you found it supporting for you, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you guys want to take yourselves off of mute, we can all say goodbye.
Thank you.
Adios.
Yay. Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers, everyone.
See you next month.
Cheers.